Hey everybody, we are now back with the Cabral HouseCalls, the weekend edition of the Cabral concept. So glad you could join me here today. We're going to be getting into our community's questions just like we do each and every weekend. Typically get to about 10 to 12 questions per weekend. I always want to make sure that I'm giving you the due that you deserve, especially waiting 10 to 12 weeks to get your question read live on the podcast. But also just keeping in mind that what I want to do is just always point you towards how to then go deeper on your health. Whether it's wellness-based, it's weight loss, it's weight gain, it's anti-aging, longevity, you name it. My goal is to help you live that high-performance health lifestyle or live longer, stronger, whatever you're looking to do. Ultimately, for me, it's about connecting the mind and the body, getting both in healthy spots so we can go about enjoying our life. Not making necessarily our health or a fitness-based regimen our entire life, but simply getting to a point that we have the energy and the vitality and the mindset to go after that which we are here and meant to do. So without further ado, let's get into today's show. This is episode 2808. So if you want to read along with the questions today, do feel free. They're at stephencabral.com/2808. And if you want to search for previous podcasts to look up your search terms, head on over to stephencabral.com/podcasts. All right. Desiree is up first. It says, "Hi, Stephen Cabral. I notice in California, some supplements have a warning label that says the product could contain lead. I'm hoping to become pregnant within the next year, and I'm concerned about the birth defects that can be caused by lead exposure. Thank you." Yeah, without a doubt, and you should be concerned about lead. What you want to do, ideally, is always run a lab test. One of those could be the minerals and metals test that you're able to run to look for lead. Another one could be blood work with your PCP if you're concerned about lead. Both of those are great to run. You know, a blood diagnostics is the diagnostic one. We don't give diagnostic work with at-home lab testing, but that's what most people do. So, well, there's good news, right? So there's good news about all of these things is that any product that contains lead is because it typically comes from the earth, because the earth actually contains lead. So that's not necessarily good news. I'm not saying that. However, most food-based products are very low in lead. So chocolate, is one of those that are higher in lead. Believe it or not, cannabis is another one. Sweet potatoes, things like spinach or dark greens, peas. There's a lot that can contain lead. Now, typically, it's minute levels, and your body simply removes those on a daily basis. It is the large exposures to lead paint or lead in the environment that really create that toxicity level. Now, having said that, you still want to be cautious, right? Because nutritional supplements are made many from food-based products. And if they're made from food-based products, well, there could be levels of lead. The nice thing is with many functional medicine-based companies, including Equilife, we test our products, all the products, for lead. And so any products that we put out to the public that my two daughters used, that my wife used when she was pregnant, all of them have been tested for lead. And so we have all the certificates of analysis, and we always do things the right way. That's the nice thing. And we're not the only company. Many companies do this as well. Now, that does not mean that you don't still need to put a sticker on for like Prop 65 for California. You still do, just to protect yourself, because, they're not all lawyers. Lawyers are good people, but there are law firms that are set up just to sue supplement companies. That's literally all they do, which is pretty wild, but that's how they spend their time. So hopefully that's helpful. Basically, go with clean products that have been tested for lead, and you should be good to go, okay? And then when in doubt, you can always lab test to make sure that you don't have lead in your body. Laurie's up next. "Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for all you do. I appreciate your podcast and look forward to it." Thank you, Laurie. "I've done the CBO protocol and I'm currently doing the mold protocol. I'm sensitive to anything that affects GABA receptor, and when I take the daily detox supplement, in my REM sleep is less than 30 minutes. I never did the CBO finisher because of the same reason. Do you have any suggestions for sealing the gut or another detox supplement that would not affect the GABA receptor?" Okay, yeah, happy to help. And I actually answered this really in depth potentially last week. And that's why you may not have got it, because you write in 10 to 12 weeks ahead of time. So I'm going to see if I found this for you. Here it is right here. Let's see, but I just go these glutamine product make me anxiety. Yes. Okay. So it was by Anonymous, and it was episode 2795. All right. So I go through how glutamine, if that's the product we're talking about, because I'm not sure that it is, but if it's glutamine that could be affecting you, there's a pathway that essentially works with glutamine, glutamate, glutamic acid, and GABA. And although you want glutamine and you want GABA, people can have the toxic side effects of essentially glutamate or glutamic acid. When we've talked about that before with things like yeast extracts and those types of things can affect people to a great degree. MSG can, and obviously not for some. So I talked about, and I want you to tune back into that show, specifics. Magnesium, zinc, copper, vitamin B6 can help to then allow for the metabolic pathways for glutamine to be able to naturally convert then to GABA. You also might want to try these earlier in the day, so they may not affect your sleep as much. And then in terms of not using, maybe you talk about the healthy gut support. That's what I think you're talking about, because it contains glutamine, which is one of the most powerful for the gut. There are other things as well, and L-carnosine at the very least could be very helpful for you. All right, so thank you for writing in. All right, let me get back to my spot since I had to scroll back on the massive document here that we always use, and all the questions come in. All right, and we are back. Thank you, Laurie, for writing in. Appreciate you. All right. Salar is up next. Hi, Dr. Rawl. I'm 17 years old. I'm currently living in Canada. About 9 months ago, I took antibiotics, and ever since then, I developed this rare skin condition called Exfoliative Cheilitis. Now I've went on to Cure Zone forums. People have healed it through diet, supplements, etc. But I'm just scared that what if none of this works for me? Any advice on how I can cure this condition? I also, for some reason, was taking biocidin and applying it on the lips, kind of improved the condition. All right, happy to help on this as well. So I always just have to give you the disclaimer that I can't provide any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis in any way. That is not legal, so that's not what I'm doing. So what I want to share with you, though, is some health-based advice that I would give myself, or some health education, not medical advice. So peeling of the lips can actually be vitamin A toxicity. Many people don't think about that because you may have connected it to your antibiotic, and I'm going to get to that in a moment, but it could also be an effect on the liver. And if the liver is affected, especially if you're taking, let's say, besides antibiotics, Accutane, right, or a high vitamin A based supplement or a high vitamin A skincare routine or anything, it can absolutely cause peeling of the lips. So you can check on that as well. Okay, now what happens though is some people take antibiotics and it throws off the gut flora. And although it's killing the bacteria, it may actually allow for yeast overgrowth. And that yeast overgrowth could cause peeling of the lips as well. There's also certain vitamin deficiencies. So my recommendation, if possible, is to run the big three, not even necessarily the big five. The big three looks at food sensitivities, yeast overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth, parasites. And so you can find those at stephencabral.com/shop. You can just go into the labs. And if you're not able to run it through Equilife, you can also run it with a local naturopathic doctor, and you can run those labs with a local or a virtual IHP too as well. So any one of those is totally fine. My goal is obviously just to help people. I want to get people the right information. So I'd start there. Let's say you can't run the labs. Okay, well then maybe we do the CBO protocol plus the citricidal drops, and all of those come with directions. And we're also then using at a minimum the daily foundational protocol, or let's say daily nutritional support, omega-3 support, and vitamin D3. Those would be my minimums, and FM zinc. Those would be my minimums besides the CBO protocol. All right, so that's at least a place to start, Solar. All right, Carol's up next. As a woman, rather than as a health professional, I recommend vaginal weighted cones. They're like weighted tampons, but plastic. They make Kegel exercises more effective, similar to how dumbbell weights help with exercise, bicep curls. The same exercises build more muscle. Using weighted vaginal cones with Kegel exercises can solve some leakage issues, common after birth or in older patients. They're cheaper and healthier than surgery, or depends. Nobody died from vaginal cone issues like occasionally happens with surgery, for example. Sir, can you weigh in on the health value of this, about brand preferences? How can you get this cheaply? Does Medicare pay, or are there any coupons? Tips for use, podcast, please, on all these questions. Thank you. Carol, thank you for writing in. I always let you know when I am not an expert or can add a lot of value in a certain area. This is not my area of expertise. I can't give you a lot of feedback on vaginal-based cones. I understand the value that they may bring simply by squeezing against a tension, right, creates a stronger muscle tone. So that I absolutely see the value in. However, I don't know the products and I don't know the brands in the marketplace. And I also don't know about the plastic, right? The plastic exposure, and if that could have a particular issue. So I can't give you a great answer. I apologize for that. What I would do is I would actually write in to cabralsupportgroup.com. There's about 25,000 people in that group, all very supportive from people all around the world. And they very well may have more experience in this, but also they'll give you their tips, and so you'll get a lot of back and forth. All right. So again, I don't know that I'm the best person to help you with this, but at least I can point you in the right direction. All right, Anonymous is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I want to ask you about the Detox program. I'm 5'3" in height and I weigh about 100 pounds. I'm underweight and I've always had a hard time gaining weight. I've done the Detox once before, but it made me lose even more weight. Is there a way for me to detox in such a way that I won't lose weight, but I will still be able to reach autophagy? Your reply is very much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, yeah, there's a bunch of different ways. So one, I no longer want to lose any more weight. I still do the Detox. I lose anywhere between 3 and 5 pounds in the first 2 to 3 days, but then I'm able to put it back on. And you're typically able to do that because you then begin to increase your starch intake and your other calories if you choose to. Some people, they lose the weight and then they know how through the Detox to keep it off. So it's a little bit different for each individual. But let's say you don't even want to lose the 3 pounds. I totally get it. What you can do is for the 2 days, now this is totally preferential, you can include a cup of wild blueberries or a cup of fruit with every smoothie. Okay, you're still going to be hypocaloric. You're still going to lose a little bit of weight. However, it's going to allow you to be on a completely plant-based, low mTOR stimulating, low leucine diet that will still help you with autophagy. And even in an ideal world, maybe you're fasting, you're doing your shakes, right? You're doing your detox shakes for breakfast, for lunch, for mid-afternoon, and then maybe you're having a dinner each night. And maybe the dinner each night then is maybe a little bit larger meal. And even though that's not typically what we want to do, well, now you're able to get into deeper autophagy. Or you make lunch your large meal, probably even a better idea. You do a shake in the morning. You do a earlier lunch, you do a shake mid-afternoon, you do a shake at dinner, and then you go the next day until lunch. So maybe you still do one meal a day. You get a good amount of calories in there for lunch, so it doesn't affect your sleep as much. Maybe it's even like 1,000-calorie lunch, healthy fats, some good starches, etc. And then you get back into a 24-hour essentially fast. So there's different ways to do it. We actually spell it out though and state it on the Detox manual that you, at least for days 3 through 7, will add sweet potatoes or yams or Japanese yams or yuca or whatever healthy starch you want, grain-free starch for those days 3 through 7. And you should be able to put the weight back on because there's no limit to the calories that you could eat. You just want to follow the plan, the meal plan. And then you can do berries with your smoothies on days 3 through 7. So what I do is for maximum effectiveness, I do the shakes, like I do how I follow it to a T through Wednesday at lunch, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at lunch, and you can do it any day a week. Then I start eating that lunch. And then from there on in, I will add back in my starches and all those foods so I start to put some of that weight back on. So that's how I do it because the autophagy is really, that's what you want, that deeper part for overall effectiveness. But I understand where you're coming from. And whenever there's a weight gain issue as well, you also want to look at ideally running the big 5 because there could be a cortisol issue, there could be a hyperthyroid issue, there could be gut issues. So I can't recommend enough if you're ever able to run the big 5 to find out why there might be a hypermetabolic rate, a hyperadrenal based response, a hyperthyroid based response. And we can help you with that. Again, not providing medical advice, but providing real underlying root cause health help. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, we're going to keep it at that for today, but we will be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Have an amazing rest of the weekend. Talk with you then. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.